Hey, Nick.
Hey, Tyson.
What's happening, Nick?
Well, it was the Oscars, Tyson.
It was the Oscars.
It was beautiful.
It was what a wonderful time. This is the episode. Welcome to another episode of Nick Tyson Videotape.
Welcome to the grand final.
It is our grand final.
It is our grand final.
Not our grand finale.
Oh no.
People not grand final. It's our Super Bowl.
It's our Super Bowl. Yes.
It's our World Series.
It's our WrestleMania. It's our
grand final.
It's our World Cup.
It's our Grand Prix.
Nice one. It's our I was going to say swimsuit issue, but it's not that. It's our
despite the fact that we are wearing nothing but bathers.
We are,
but
don't tell people that. Don't tell people that. It's our Miss America.
It is. It's our Miss America pageant.
Yep.
Well, it's episode 52, 53, 52. Episode number 52.
Oh, 52, yes.
Of Nick Tyson Videotape.
That's true.
Welcome.
How is everyone? How are you?
Strangely, they can't answer, but what a shame. It is our Oscar Extravaganza 2018. I'm really excited about this episode.
Yeah, this is one of my faves.
Not only is it one of my faves, our Oscar Extravaganza of 2017 is our most downloaded episode.
It is one of your faves, clearly.
So, we hope that our 2018 episode lives
just as well.
Lives up to the hype of last year's success.
Most downloaded episode.
Most downloaded by a pretty decent margin.
Everyone loves the Oscars. Who doesn't love the Oscars?
Well, lots of people don't like the Oscars.
I know, what the fuck.
And I do understand. I do understand. Yeah, I do understand.
Yeah, I kind of get the gist.
At the same, I feel like I also believe that art is subjective, and it's very strange that we rate art this way.
That's true.
And we have people vote on what they think is the best art, which is kind of strange. But having said that, I love them. I love the buzz around them.
Exactly.
I love spending all my time leading up to it, researching, thinking about statistics, and I do kind of get a bit off on statistics.
You go way deep. Deep into the world of Oscars, don't you?
I do. I really do. It is one of my favorite things to talk about, read about. Multiple books and
the backstories of all the stuff that happened and all of the I love that stuff,
and especially now, like even the the voting process and voting patterns.
Did we talk about this last year?
Maybe,
because I think that or maybe we talked about it off air. But yeah, talking about how I think it's a prerequisite. You have to watch them all in order to vote.
It should be.
I think so, but it's not that,
is it? But it's not. No, and there's kind of no way to police that either.
Which is why I think people... No, there's a way to police that. Just go, what happened in the ending? Did the billboards burn?
People can just...
Did they burn down?
People can Wikipedia this shit.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it's really hard.
Good point.
It's like you need to... I don't know. We need to have
sit them in a room and make them watch it.
Well, you know.
I'm up for it. Hey, if I get to vote, I'm up for it.
Good point. If I was voting for the Academy, I'd go to I'd see absolutely everything.
Absolutely.
Happily.
Even we're talking short film, short animated feature. Yeah. We're talking all of it.
Yeah, because that's for especially here. It's kind of hard to find the animated shorts and the live action shorts and stuff like that.
Well, we can get it after the Oscars has happened, but that's because the Oscars has happened.
Yeah, usually there's some kind of watch all 5 of them here.
Exactly. Yeah.
For a limited time or whatever, and but they are pretty hard to track down.
Yeah. That's very true. One of my favorites is because I love a good documentary. So the documentary section, I make sure that I watch all of them as much as every Best Picture.
I did not see any of the documentary nominees this year.
Well, I haven't this year because,
despite one of them just being on Netflix, just sitting there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just
Which one was?
there.
Which one? The one that won?
The winner, Icarus.
I knew it.
Yeah, so we can watch that at any time we like now, which is great. Anyone can watch that. You can just click of a button.
Thanks, baby. But yes,
that's it. Well, we're here. We're discussing...
going to talk the Oscars.
It's a special episode, so we're going to forego all the other stuff.
We are.
We're just going to have a good old chat about the Oscars.
Exactly.
So I guess it's our feature presentation. Should we?
It is. Let's start it.
Let's do it.
Oh my god.
And now for our feature presentation.
All right. So.
Okay. The Oscars.
So I don't know how we want to attack this. I'm trying to remember. We probably should have listened to last year's episode to see how we did it.
No, I like to go in fresh. Let's start with. Let's start with. Can I start with this? How do you feel?
With whatever you like.
How do you feel about our presenter of the night,
Jimmy Kimmel?
Where do you sit with him? Because last year I was like, oh, really? But now, I like him because he doesn't push kind of he doesn't go, no, I'm going to make it the Chris Rock show, which is what happened in Chris Rock's year, or he's going to do like an Anne Hathaway and James Franco.
James Franco when they kind of just...
and they just died in the ass.
I don't even
like,
understand what they were trying to do.
It's like a freak show.
Yeah.
You can't like tear your eyes away. Where do you sit with Jimmy Kimmel?
I kind of like him.
You like him?
Yeah. My favourite of the late nights is Seth Meyers by far.
Oh, no. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what is the word I'm looking for? Presenters. Presenters. Host. Thank you.
Oh, look, I'm pretty open really to it. I like if we talk about in recent years, I am always up for the Neil Patrick Harris kind of style comedy.
Yeah.
I liked Hugh Jackman as a host. I thought it was a kind of good choice.
That one was really good. I did like that.
I liked Seth MacFarlane a lot as host.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
liked Ellen.
I didn't mind Ellen.
Yeah, I know that not a lot of people rub differently, but I liked. I like.
They what?
That was weird. I should have finished the sentence. people get rubbed different ways by Ellen. You know, some people don't like her. Some people, whatever. I like Ellen. I like
Ellen quite a lot. I like her show. It was one of those things where I didn't know if it's always such a fine line, like how to gauge the level of prestige that the host needs to bring to it.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's almost like if you try to downplay it too much, it kind of backfires a little bit because it's like, oh, hey man, people do kind of want this to be a big deal.
Yeah.
Where like and people kind of said that was a big problem with Seth MacFarlane. But the thing about Seth MacFarlane is that he like loves movies and he loves the ceremony kind of atmosphere.
Yeah.
He's born for like old school Rat Pack kind of casino shows. That's what he should be doing, really. Like that'd be insane. He's got such a that old school energy,
and you can tell by the way that Brian, does the does the swing, all of that.
So I like, despite him singing some pretty kind of distasteful songs and stuff like that, he still had a whole heap of like. He was channeling the old Bob Hope kind of style.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Ellen was just kind of
doing her show,
doing Ellen. Like it was just kind of chilled and like
which is fine because she got into the face of Clint Eastwood and it
reminded me a lot of the Letterman year where it was he tried to make it too much of his show, like exactly like a late night show.
Yeah.
And it felt flat because it didn't have kind of that here we are at the Oscars kind of energy.
But then you can go like the really avant-garde, which is like which I love, but it kind of you need to gauge it, like you said. The Whoopi Goldberg comes to mind, and when Whoopi did it, it was amazing.
Yeah,
but it was a show.
She's one of the she's one of the old schools though, like her and the Billy Crystal kind of those guys that just it's like it's old hat to them. It's just kind of like here we are.
Yeah, sure.
I've been in this industry for fucking ever.
Yeah, sure.
Don't fuck with me.
Who do you think? Who would you like to? Who hasn't done it?
Oh, that's interesting.
Who would you like to see?
I would like to see Andy Samberg.
Really?
Yes.
Really? Don't you think he's a little bit too comedy? Oh no, that's a stupid. No, sorry.
Andy Samberg and
Andy Samberg. I'd like to see them.
Who's like someone who would be a good female counterpoint to Andy Samberg?
That would be a sort of a Kristen Wiig.
Kate McKinnon. I would like to see Andy Samberg and Kate McKinnon.
That's a nice combo.
Host, I think.
That would be good.
Be very funny.
That would be very good. I don't know. I'm trying to rack my brain. I have no one.
Yeah. Or maybe they're better suited to like the Golden Globes or the Emmys or something like that. I really liked the year where Steve Martin and Alec Baldwin hosted it together as well.
Yeah, that was
they're two kind of old favourites of mine.
Yeah,
big time favourites. So it was kind of fun to see them just kind of trotting about doing their thing.
Yeah. That's a good one. I got no one.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, anyway, Jimmy.
Jimmy.
I thought he was good.
He was good?
Yeah,
he was good. That's because he didn't overdo it. Like it wasn't flooded. The audience members weren't flooded with was it Girl Scouts or something like that?
He had his shtick again.
Well, that was fine.
He did the reverse of what he did last year. So
but the segment went quick.
It did go quick.
That last year went too long. Pardon me.
It felt really kind of. It's funny because there's this, the whole vibe of the Hollywood elitism kind of thing at the moment is, I think, something that they probably do need to address a little bit more.
Yeah.
Just that idea of the hypocrisy of a whole bunch of really, really rich people trying to moralize, and I like they are, of course, everyone, they have a platform, and so they are the people that should be setting the best example because they have that platform.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that I find something a little bit kind of uncomfortable about marching in superstars into a cinema, shooting hot dogs out of a cannon at people.
That was
like, here's your fucking hot dogs, you
heathens.
You know,
I wanted one of those guns. I'm like, oh no, this is in poor taste. Especially because this is the Academy Awards. You don't see the fucking BAFTAs do this, do you?
And look, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe like it's the People's Choice Awards, or it's the fucking Nickelodeon.
Exactly,
whatever.
It's the MTV Awards. Do that. You know,
maybe and. Which is it's great because I think so much of the other things in the night, I think, like especially a lot of the stuff that was addressing all the Me Too stuff, I thought was really classy and
that was really
was yes, it was moralizing and making sure that perhaps, you know, some people would see it as fucking rich actors getting on their high horse, but it was really classily handled. I thought it was tasteful, it was tactful, and it got to the bottom of the issue really.
Exactly.
But still kind of with enough humor that it didn't feel like a lecture.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're not overselling it is the wrong word, but you're not lecturing us on what's happening. We know what's happening. Everyone knows what's happening. Everyone who's in the audience and who watches this knows what's going on.
Yeah, for sure.
I would have preferred Weinstein's name not be mentioned, but hey,
I think I had a conversation with some friends of mine about this as well, and we were kind of talking about how you just need to do it. You have to address
it out there
because otherwise it's an elephant in the room. It's going to be uncomfortable for a couple of minutes, but then it's
out there.
I think
we're
everyone
done,
just
and we're
can then
we're gonna
relax.
move on, and we're gonna
And I think
sure
by having
again.
I actually think it was a really classy move, having instead of it being. Like, I mean, obviously Jimmy Kimmel said some stuff as well, and there were some other people that said it.
Yep.
But having, Ashley Judd, Annabella Sciorra, and Salma Hayek as the ones who were kind of the ones that were the most kind of the most
in
for
the
us
public
that
eye,
we understand. They are kind of three of the names that I mean really came to mind.
Yeah.
When this all came out, I mean, hearing what happened to Annabella Sciorra being blacklisted from any Weinstein property.
Yeah, exactly.
And it kind of fucked her career.
Yeah.
Like,
it totally did. And you could see that in what she said. Like she started talking and said, you know, it's nice to be back. I haven't been here for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And so
it was just full on.
So I think that was a nice way of approaching it. And you know, then we get like, you know, you can win a jet ski, and like it's kind of like it's a weird clash. And I actually think the best stuff he did was when he was just talking.
Yeah,
I think
same.
his skits were less effective.
Yeah, exactly. Apart from that the start with him doing
the old-timey
voice.
That was funny.
That was great.
Yeah.
You know, do it like that. Yeah, I wasn't a fan of the game show type segments, but I knew that they were there because this Academy Awards, we had to talk about something that no one wants to talk about, but we have to talk about it.
Yeah, so
we have to get it out there.
Yeah, and I think they handled it really well. And I think his monologue was quite funny at the start.
Yeah.
I think I like that it wasn't super political.
Yeah,
because I think
it could have been.
Absolutely, he's got that's pretty ripe material at the moment. And even the little kind of sneaky one-liners he said here and there. He barely referred to anyone by name. It was mostly, you know, he did mention a few by name, but it was pretty light on. And generally it was good because I think they like that whole vibe needs to move past that because all that's doing is giving ammunition to like middle class America who already feel the separation of elitism to working class.
Exactly.
Don't give them any more ammunition. No. Just say your piece for sure, but make the gags smarter. Like, because then they won't get them. Those people won't get the gags anyway, and won't be able to complain on Fox News Facebook wall about Hollywood elites ragging out my president.
Yeah,
like don't worry about it. Just be smarter.
Exactly.
Move on.
One of the things I remember that you said last year that really clocked me was I think I was bitching because I'm a massive snob and like my Oscars to be of a certain regal setting.
Of course. Yeah.
And I didn't like the fact that JT came out and it was, you know, and you said, well, no, Nick, they need that because it's a celebration rather than they've just had one of the worst things happen to them with who they've elected, and they need that release, and that's what this did as well. And that's what was always in the back of my head while I was watching this year's Oscars. Is yes, this is still going on, but let's not draw attention to it. Instead, let's draw attention to the art and the diversity that Hollywood is, and the acceptance that we are going to become, and let's concentrate on the positive rather than the negative.
Yeah, and it's like obviously, it was giving a lot of female power energy out, which was great. But also, you're right, trying not to be down in the doldrums about the state of the political of their country at the moment. Yeah, being like, standing by their art form as their form of protest. So being able to say, we're putting out, and by the way, the film that won Best Picture is made by a Mexican. And it's about a woman who is very comfortable in her own sexuality. Enough so to be able to love the most different person. In that world.
Absolutely.
And the whole movie was about acceptance of someone very different. Yeah. And it's basically everything that this administration despises.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the film that won, and so that's the protest. That's the way that they can show them.
Exactly. Watch the film because it won Best Oscar.
Oscar.
It won
back to the Oscars.
Best Academy Award, and watch it because it was amazing.
Yeah. Cool. Well, why don't we talk about what was your...
Go on.
What was your... Did you have a big surprise award for the evening? What was your biggest surprise?
Big surprise? Oh, shit. This is I did. Okay. Oh, I've got one.
All right.
I've got one. Because I normally make sure, this is the only year that I didn't, I normally make sure that I listen to every single song before I vote.
Yeah, okay.
Now, this year that I didn't do that, it bit me in the ass. But the thing is, though, it didn't change who won. I voted because I knew that Coco was going to win, because Pixar, if you put anything in, if they produce anything, it is going to win.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And, it's for the majority of the time, they deserve it. In this instance, though, I watched that performance, The Greatest Showman, and that deserved to win. I felt that song far exceeded, beating... Let's choose some words a bit better. The song was just better. The song was just...
I would say...
It was it made me want to stand up and fucking sing. Yeah. It made me want to learn the words to the song, made me want to see the movie, all of that.
It has... That song has an uncanny ability to motivate.
Yeah. And it's like the first time you hear... This is a stupid example. Is it... You raise me up?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's fair. I think a little bit of Groves.
The first time you hear Groban and you hear that, you're like... That was intense.
Yeah, fair call.
Yeah, and it felt that. Yeah, and once I saw, I was like, well, I completely retract my... Well, but it won.
No, well, the thing about it is that it's... If they were rating on performance, like if it was one of those things like everyone had little buzzers, and at the end of the performance, it was like, now place your votes. This is me would have won hands down, because it is...
Because that performance was intense.
But that's and that's the song. This is... I'm not saying I'm kind of indifferent either way, yeah. Okay. Because I don't like when a song...
Go on.
I like to come to those feelings myself through the music. I don't like the music telling me how I should feel, and This Is Me tells me to feel this way.
Okay.
It doesn't let me feel that way because of the music. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, I do actually.
Yeah, and so I kind of get a little bit. I think it's fine. I think it's really clever songwriting, because it is very powerful in a way that it's.
You think it's a little bit too pushing everyone
it's cookie cutter inspirational. It's followed a lot of very particular formula in order to achieve the result that it does.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that for me, I try to just separate myself a little bit from it and be, because it affects me when I listen to it. So instead I try to go, okay, let's forget about that and look at it a little bit objectively. And then I kind of just go, okay, I'll get a bit of distance from it. I would have been happy with most of those songs. Probably not the one from Mudbound. I thought the one from Mudbound was pretty average. The Mary J. Blige one.
Yeah.
what was it called again? Mighty
River.
Because I realized after 3 minutes that I'd just heard someone say Mighty River and some oohing and ahhing
in the back,
and a choir just going Mighty River, Mighty River. And I was just kind of like,
I get it. It's a change.
Because I do think lyrical content needs to be as important in that as well.
Absolutely.
So I liked the other 4 songs quite a lot.
I wasn't a huge fan of the common one, what was her name? Diane Warren. It was okay, but the other 3 kind of stuck out for me. To be honest, out of all of them that I didn't like, was the one that won. But that may be because of the performance. I haven't. It was
probably the weakest performance, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Poor Gail Bernal Garcia Bernal, is that how you say his name?
Gail Garcia Bernal.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I knew it was
gorgeous
one way or the other.
Yeah.
He's
that's
clearly,
the reason I know him.
He's not
because
a
he's
singer.
gorgeous.
He's
not a singer, but he gave it a fucking shot.
Good on him for getting up there. And
exactly.
it was a very what's the word? I always forget this word, and I love the word. It's very important when you're talking about character and stuff. It's a very vulnerable performance.
Yeah,
absolutely. By not being a singer, it meant that we got to make a kind of personal connection. With the real simple vocal delivery, which I thought was kind of nice. Couldn't sing a note, but
that's not the point. The point is, and I connect that with. Oh no, I'll say this later.
No, that's
keep going.
Yeah, but that was kind of a surprise to me, I think, as well. Even though it was the odds-on favorite. Like the thing about Pixar is that it's got so much brand recognition that if a song is from a Pixar movie, it becomes very hard to beat it.
Yeah. Especially because Coco is about. Isn't it about the music?
It is, but it's definitely got a big.
So that's going to be, instead of, the other Pixar movies focusing on the story element or the emotion element. This is they've really focused on that music element.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Was there a Did you get surprised, Tyson? Was there anything that surprised you apart from the hot dog guns?
To be honest, literally there was not a surprise for the entire evening, and I think that was the surprise.
Oh, okay.
I think the closest thing I got to being kind of shocked, but I was actually shocked in a good way, was Get Out winning screenplay.
Oh, yes.
Because I 100% believe it was the best structured film of the year.
Okay. But
I'm so glad it was. Well, structure and story. I thought it was
right.
100%. I thought it was wonderful. And even on a dialogue level, there was not an ounce of fat on that film.
No, that's true. And there was no scene where you were like, "Oh, I'll make a cup of tea" at all.
No, and once you do kind of reflect a little bit further and listen to some interviews and start to kind of look at the symbolism and the metaphor and the visual kind of references that you just don't even pick up on a first viewing.
Yeah.
You start to realize just how incredibly well thought out and sharp
everything was.
The movie is.
So that's because this is a first album. That's
it is,
and it's perfect. It's 100%.
Great. He's allowed to. Everyone's first album.
He's thought about this for how long?
Exactly,
which is what he said in his speech. You know, and you're seeing it, and rightly so, won the award.
And I say it's kind of a surprise only because I was afraid that something else was going to win.
Right.
And not so much I thought maybe the less interesting choice would have won, which was something like Three Billboards or Lady Bird. I thought they were both kind of less interesting choices.
Yeah.
Still fine choices.
Oh, absolutely.
Like fine.
Yeah.
They were the two out of the I don't think I needed to see
The Big
Sick or what was the
Shape of Water.
Shape of Water. I thoroughly am happy that did not win screenplay. I think it has some serious problems structurally. Right. So that would have been if we were looking towards one of those like a sweep.
Yeah.
And it was like Shape of Water suddenly was winning everything, and that's one of the ones that would have been kind of the giveaway to that, where it's like, oh, okay, Shape of Water's just going to win everything. That would have been really disappointing.
Yeah.
But Three Billboards and Lady Bird, I think, are on equal footing in the strength of screenplay. They've got some big issues, but they've also got some really wonderful things in them.
You didn't like The Big Sick? Where did you see? Sorry,
no, I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen it? Oh, right.
Yeah, so I can't. So that's why it wasn't in my
fair deal.
In my thought process about it. And so it was just really nice that Get Out ended up being the one that did win that. I think.
Fair deal.
And also Best Picture. To be honest, I was and this is something we kind of mentioned before.
We did.
For so long, since really the start of this Oscar season, Shape of Water really should have just been the favourite. It was the favourite for a long time. Like a lot of people just kind of like, no, I think it's the favourite. But all the experts kept just finding ways to look past it, finding ways to use the statistics to say, no, it's not actually going to win. No, it got the most nominations. It's not going to win. It won the PGA. It's not going to win. Oh, I won the DJ. It's not going to win. He's just going to win director. He's going to win director. It's fine. But and they kept finding these little loopholes in statistics to say we're never going to. It's not going to be a fantasy film.
Yeah.
Winning
Best Picture. Yeah. Especially with the other things that you've got. You've got your. If you look at it just plainly, you've got your war movie in there, which is normally, that normally grabs an Oscar here and there. You've got Lady Bird, which, yes, we've talked about how it, could be the start of the wheel changing, which is a great thing. Yeah. But it's also written and directed by a female director who, maybe that's where we're going to go.
Yeah, maybe it was just in the zeitgeist at the moment.
Exactly. Yeah. Or maybe, everyone's going to jump on the PT bandwagon just like everyone does, and Phantom Thread's going to win. But no, I love that The Shape of Water won.
I'm really quite happy about it. I think it's a beautiful. It's got some really lovely stuff in it. I am sad because I went into it fairly certain that I was going to love it.
Right. And it wasn't as...
I liked it.
Yes, absolutely.
And so that was my fault. I put expectations on it.
Same. But you're right, you're okay to do that. This is coming from a man who has done Pan's Labyrinth, and from that, he has set the bar for himself.
It's impossible
so high
for me to see any movie that he makes now
and not
objectively,
expect that,
because Pan's Labyrinth is... it is just perfection. And... so yeah, I think I'm justified a little bit. I think in going in and saying, all right, cool,
this is going to be fucking amazing.
Oh man, exactly. I can't wait. This is like he's back at Del Toro, back on Pan's Labyrinth mode.
Oh my god!
And it didn't reach the emotional highs for me, and it was looser. It felt like it had a lot of moments that I think were nowhere near as well thought out. I mean, that's unfair to say, because what do I know if they're well thought out? There's just stuff in there that I don't think it wasn't overall ended up leading the film in a I'll just say it was flabby. It was a bit flabby.
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say. Yeah. It wasn't. You don't want a narrative of you don't want The Shape of Water to have a very direct narrative. You want it to be able to kind of crawl along, on the way. But you still need it to be guided in that general direction. It just felt like it was. Yeah, you didn't really I think we take some kind of detours with Richard Jenkins' character, which I don't think are necessary. And I think like they don't hurt the film by any stretch, but they, I think the film overestimates the importance of his character. I think. I think he stayed on a little too.
I think he plays too much of a role in it.
Yeah. Love Richard Jenkins.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. And I think there's some scenes in a diner, the scene that are just heartbreaking and really strong. But I think there's just some other stuff that it's just a bit flab.
Yeah.
There's some stuff with the way they represent her deafness, her muteness, that I think could have been better handled.
Yeah.
I think it's very hard for actors to repeat sign language without it sounding forced and without it feeling kind of
put on or a bit
disingenuous.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. She did a fucking stellar job.
I thought she was wonderful. I thought she was wonderful, and I think I would have loved the movie a lot more if we were allowed to just experience what she was experiencing, and maybe subtitle the really important stuff.
Exactly.
You'd be surprised how much of that movie is people just repeating back her sign language, and I'm not interested in that.
Yeah, that's a good one. I will say this though: I don't feel that Octavia Spencer, even though I love her, she didn't need to. I don't know where this Oscar nomination came from. She's
kind of one of those people now that just she's kind of cornered the market on the supporting role.
She has, which is awesome. She does it fucking well.
Great.
But
she's
for this
always
one,
great.
I was like, I'm sure we've had better supporting actresses this year.
Look, I mean, I'm sure.
None of them come to mind, obviously.
Yeah, I'm sure with like having a look, I'd be able to find some substitutable ones, but it doesn't mean that I don't think she was any better or worse.
Oh, no.
I think maybe more than anything, it's kind of it's one of those things where how do you judge the importance of a character to a narrative?
Oh, absolutely.
And then does it matter if she's kind of just on the periphery? Does it matter that she's kind of
in it for 2 minutes or or however long?
I mean, she plays a role.
Plays a different,
it's just whether or not because the role she was there to do wasn't as important. Although she did get some pretty fucking sick scenes. I love the stuff when Michael Shannon goes to visit her and then her husband
she holds her own, and her husband's just a
starts
bitch.
firing up and like some really great stuff in that. But
Michael Shannon, man, every time Michael Shannon, like if we watch a movie, me and Sam, so we watch The Shape of Water, we're watching the start. Michael Shannon comes on the screen, and the first thing we say is, "Newsflash, you stupid fucking cocks."
Still one of my all-time favorite videos on the internet.
Seriously.
And Michael Shannon I thought was really great, really great, and I'm surprised not enough people are talking about it.
I know, what the hell.
If anything, people are saying he's a bit much, and I'm like, I really love how he played it really, really. Like he wore this stupid kind of arrogance about himself in public, yet in private he was this really kind of broken, very messed up person, and it was really believable and really like a very kind of like interesting representation of a very kind of confused masculine energy.
Yes.
And I loved it.
But had we followed, like, if the story was him, we're totally going off on a tangent here.
That's all right. But one best picture.
Yeah, good point. But had we followed his story, and he'd not be, what happened to him, that was on the path of a serial killer. All of the stuff, like the stuff that he did with his wife, the way that he was looking at, oh my God, I forget her name. What was her character name? Of the
Sally Hawkins. Her character name was.
Go on,
you keep talking. I'll look it up.
Yeah, just him obsessing over her in a way that, oh, you're mute, are you? I kind of like that. That kind of turns out, I'm like, this is messed up. Like, obviously, I know what I'm getting in with Guillermo del Toro. I know that he likes the dark in a certain way. But yeah, following his Michael Shannon's character further, that would have been amazing.
Eliza or Alyssa? Eliza.
Yeah. It would have been intense. And yet, Michael Shannon, no nomination. But I think that's because if you have Michael Shannon in something, apart from last week's episode, you know what you're going to get. He brings the performance.
That's not fair, though. Like, that's not fair. Because, I mean, like, and no offense to Woody Harrelson, but what is he doing in that category? What is he doing?
Yeah, I don't.
He's in
point.
2 scenes, one of which I find really effective. The one where the scene with him and Frances McDormand in the interrogation room, where
that was really good.
We kind of first discover that he's quite unwell.
But
I think
his performance.
Well,
really?
He's
best performance. Are you kidding me?
That scene with his letter.
Yeah,
I think he's kind of flat out bad.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Which scene are you talking about?
When. I don't want to spoil it all. No. I feel like we shouldn't be spoiling these movies yet.
Good point. All right.
There's a scene with a letter, then it gets read in voiceover.
Oh, you're talking about the voiceover?
I think the voiceover performance is bad, and I think the structure of the scene is bad as well. I think it's all pretty kind of...
All right.
It's a bit kind of a giggle.
I think it was okay. I just don't think that...
I think for a scene like that, it should be pretty fucking heart-stopping.
Yeah, good point.
And it wasn't.
But he should be in Best Supporting. He shouldn't be Best Actor. He was
in Best Supporting. That's what I'm saying. He doesn't deserve to be. I think that performance. He's Best Supporting Actor. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Best Supporting. Oh, sorry. I can't see.
Yep,
I've been drinking. Okay.
Hey man. I've had a few. Right?
I've had a few.
Fucking sure.
I've had a few chances. What of it?
Yeah. So like, I don't think he probably should. I think he's the one that should have lifted out, and Michael Shannon should have been.
Yeah, it's totally true. Very true.
But that's that's neither here and there. What the fuck? What do I know?
Who cares? What do we know?
All right. So Shape of Water ended up winning picture, director, production design, and score.
Yep.
Which I think is pretty fair. I think the score one was a bit of a. Oh, it just sounds nice and floaty, and it's a bit kind of French Renaissance kind of style.
Sure.
It's like I'm in a coffee shop in Paris, and like I think people just kind of heard the themes and went, yeah, that's fine, it's whatever.
Nice, yeah.
For me, it was not. I was a bit kind of like, this is a token. I don't know. I actually wasn't quite sure why it became the favorite and why it just became the one that people kept voting for. Cause
yeah, fair deal.
I think it just kind of snowballed. And people just went, oh, yeah, it was pretty.
It sounds good.
It sounds good. Oh, there's some nice things.
Because that's the thing. The people who are voting for this, no one's watched this a second time over to really, oh, no, that was really good. Let's listen to that again. No one goes into that depth. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Well, especially because I think, considering some of the work in some of the other scores, I think the Phantom Thread score is just beyond beautiful.
Really? Well, it's the only one I haven't watched, truth be told. I didn't get to see Phantom Thread, which is kicking myself because as much as I have problems with it. So
that's fine. To be honest, I haven't really seen a lot of P.T. Anderson. I've seen the big ones and I've missed the ones in between.
Yeah. I've watched a few, but the fact that There Will Be Blood was held up on this massive fucking huge pedestal, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, it's the best!" Fucking, I was like, "All right, I can't," and it was literally what we hate. So, and I succumbed to everyone saying it, and I was like, "All right, I will watch it. I'll watch it." And I watched it, and I went, "What the fuck was that piece of shit? Get fucked! That thing was awful."
That's an extreme reaction.
It was.
To that
It was
film.
very extreme. I was just so fucking bored.
Oh, I don't understand that.
Oh god,
that's interesting.
It was so bored.
I don't think you'll like Phantom Thread. Then.
And I think good. I'm glad because I want to stick on this. I like this PT train that I'm on. I am the engine, and I'm just going, fuck you.
It's funny, Phantom Thread was probably the most the best reaction, the best initial reaction I've had to a movie in years.
Really,
walking out of the cinema, I've never felt so energized by a film that I was just like, I fucking love movies, man. I fucking love them. And it was honestly, really? It was such a warming feeling. Yeah. It was so wonderful. And I fucking loved it. And I think that's diluted over the week since I've seen it. I still think it is an exceptionally good film.
Right.
But I think if you don't dig what he does, I don't think you're going to dig it at all.
But I really want to see, Inherent Vice. I wanted to see that. I want to see that.
I didn't see that one.
And The Master, I want to see that as well. I'm going to give them all a go because I don't like people who, do what I just did and then haven't seen it.
That's a good point.
So I'm going to make sure.
Exactly.
I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. So I'm going to watch all those three and go, no. You know what? I still think he's fucking the biggest overrated piece of shit in the world.
Do you like Boogie Nights?
I actually own Boogie Nights. Yeah.
I mean, it's impossible not to like Boogie Nights.
You can't not like Boogie Nights. Yeah. It's amazing. If not just for Philip Seymour Hoffman. But yeah.
But yeah, I think the score was a bit of a funny one for Shape of Water because I think that also Dunkirk's score was probably a little bit stronger. As far as using music to accentuate your film's kind of purpose. Fucking hell.
So this is one of the ones.
So just
the
so
reasons
much anxiety.
that we didn't do what do we watch this week? Because me and Tice watched basically all Oscar movies.
Yeah. There's no point. We're going to talk about them all now anyway.
But yeah, I
did also watch Kindergarten Cop this week just for fun.
Fucking.
I might talk about that a little bit later.
I think we should talk about that. That's amazing. That's
just to mix up between my Oscar favourites. Chucked in a bit of Arnie.
Everybody down! What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Dunkirk.
Yeah.
So I watched this thing. My wife isn't a fan of war films. She doesn't do it, which is fine. I watched this by myself, and I am really sad that I missed this at the cinema. This thing was just this is what an art form in cinema is. It was just so fucking picturesque, which is why when Tyson asked me, what am I putting down for what are you voting for best picture? And that's why I watched that. I voted for three billboards. Then I watched that. And then the next day I'm walking around with my coffee going, but it was just so perfect. Everything was perfect. Of course it's going to, pick up best cinematography and all that stuff, which it did.
No, it won editing and the two sound awards.
Two sound awards, yeah. So just to look at the aesthetic of the whole thing was just so beautiful. And I forget what you said when you first saw it and you came on the podcast and talked about it, but that sense of this is a war movie where there are no heroes. There's no one's a hero in this. Yeah. In any war, and it's setting it in a space of reality which isn't brutal. We're not seeing arms and limbs and guts and stuff.
No, it's always in the periphery though.
Exactly,
like it's around, but we're just not.
You'll get it. You'll get it. It is war, but unfortunately, what it's more honing on is the emotional element of what was happening.
Yeah,
at Dunkirk.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So the fact that didn't, like, as much as I love Shape of Water, I really thought that
I definitely had a
stronger
stronger like reaction to Dunkirk, and it has really hung around in my memory as being one of those experiences that it was a legitimately an experience.
Yeah.
Like you came away from that and your heart was pumping. You felt like you'd experienced something very different, and I just liked that element to it a lot.
And especially because this wasn't the end of a war and this wasn't the start of a war.
No.
This was smack bang in the middle. This thing isn't over. We're just trying to get off this beach.
Yeah, and it was such a small victory, really. I mean, like, that's probably not fair to say because they saved a lot of people's lives. But
huge, yeah.
It was a victory on a small emotional level for a lot of these people, though. It wasn't like, like conquering a large part of land. It was essentially just we managed to retreat without losing all of our soldiers.
Yeah, exactly.
That was the only victory that they could take from it.
Yeah, and they took it.
I really like that film.
But just seeing it as like, it made me realise, yes, we do watch films to want to laugh or be scared.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
also, this is what Christopher Nolan did was put on a piece of art form, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. I actually found it quite terrifying, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah. There's some moments on it where just because like I'm a little bit
was it the boat?
What's the enclosed spaces thing again?
Yeah,
what's it called?
Claustrophobic.
Thank you. Yeah. I really do struggle with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, fair deal.
And mixing water into that is always
another level. Yeah,
something that I've always kind of had nightmares about.
Yeah,
like I never want to get into like a canoe or a kayak or anything because even the idea of flipping and being caught. I actually don't think I'd be able to remain calm enough to just release myself from it. I think I would flip out and it would go really badly.
Fair deal. No, that's okay.
I don't know why.
Well, there was a lot of that in this. Like a lot of the guys not wanting to go under deck after all of this stuff happened to them, and you understand why, because you don't want to be caught in there because all of a sudden you've got 100 people trying to swim for one door and fuck.
Nightmare.
Fuck.
Nightmare.
Yeah.
Very good. So that was Dunkirk's 3 awards. I think they were all quite well deserved. I think the editing was really clever as well. The use of the different time frames, which some people I've heard say it was kind of just Nolan being showy for the sake of being showy, but I think it was super important.
I thought it was good
to be able to show that even though each of these events took place over very different periods of time, they're I don't want to say just level of anxiety because I feel like that's not entirely what he was trying to set out. But by overlapping them, we get to experience what, for instance, the people on the shore felt over a period of 2 weeks. We get to experience at the same level as we experience a 1 hour
saga, dogfight.
Yeah. So I think that was really clever because I think by not showing it or by showing it chronologically, as in here's the whole section of the beach, here's the whole dogfight section, I don't think we would have got to feel the same levels of frustration and anxiety and fear and like, especially
being on that beach and in those lines. Like if you were last in that fucking line and just watching, and just the ticking. Oh, Jesus.
I think the editing was a good call. Moving down as far as movies that won kind of multiple Oscars, we also have 3 Billboards, which we've kind of talked about. One Best Actress and Best Supporting Actor. Yeah. Which was kind of a little bit of a surprise that it didn't walk away with more. I think there was a bit of assumption that it might end up with 4 for the night, and it ended up obviously not winning screenplay or picture.
Yeah. But I'm happy. I have loved both of those actors in most everything that they
absolutely.
do.
I'm a big fans of them. I think there was maybe it's hard to say because I really am sad that Willem Dafoe ended up kind of going,
I know,
starting off as the favorite and then just gradually getting pushed further and further aside for the Rockwell fucking Express, which it really was. Like once he won that first one, and you could feel the tide shifting because he's just got all this different energy and he's young and youthful and he's been around forever doing all these indie stuff. But it feels like Willem Dafoe's kind of had his time, and he's just this guy that has always been around, and I feel like he needs to do one of those performances where he just can't be denied. Like, it cannot be denied.
Yeah. Well, that's where I got really... To go back on other Oscars, that's why I got really pissed with when Michael Keaton missed out in Birdman.
For Birdman, yeah.
I got fucking livid at that point because this man has put in how many years of stellar performances, going back to fucking Stand and Deliver, which is one of my favourite performances he did when he was in his 20s.
Sure.
You know, and yeah, just got robbed by Eddie Rayman, who, you know, I like him. But this was his fucking third film.
The funny thing about
Redmayne
is that it's kind of become apparent that he might not be that great of an actor.
And we've all of a sudden...
Because he's suddenly kind of... Because obviously he's got a lot more work now.
Yeah.
And he's kind of not very good. He does one thing well.
He can do one thing well.
But maybe
either
not
dress up as a woman
things.
or just not talk.
Or do like his his weird, awkward kind of, hello, I'm Newt Scamander, or whatever he does in that, oh, don't look at my fantastic piece. Oh, yeah. And he's got
Nicole
this
is yelling down
weird
the microphone.
vibe that he's got going in that film. Like, which is essentially kind of very similar to what he did in the Stephen Hawkins thing, as in he's obviously a very strange, you know, kind of erratic kind of individual. He had a really interesting energy, and so he's tapped into that. But if you watch him in fucking Jupiter Ascending, you'd swear to God that this kid has never, ever been in front of a camera in his life. Like, it is hideous.
Let's just stop a moment. You've seen Jupiter Ascending?
Oh, I've watched like 3/4 of it. It required turning off.
Really?
It's bad.
I can't wait to watch that piece of shit.
Oh, I think I gave it about an hour and 20 minutes, and I was like, you know what? This life is short.
Life is short. I've got other shit to do.
I'm going to spend an hour doing anything other than watching the rest of this movie.
I want to watch that. I've got a double feature. I want to watch that and Cloud Atlas.
I've never watched Cloud Atlas because I really want to love it, and I hope that I do.
You're scared.
I'm scared.
I love when that happens.
Yeah,
because
really
bring it
love
on. You know, you build it up so much, and then you just fucking tear it down.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, talking about Eddie Redmayne, but yes, agreeing with you there.
Yeah. Michael Keaton. I was so fucking livid that he didn't win.
Yeah.
So in the same. Yeah.
He was really good in Birdman.
Defoe has what? Didn't he win for Elephant? Did he win for?
I think he for what? Elephant Man.
No,
that's not him.
No, that's not him.
That's John.
Oh, John Hurt.
Willem Dafoe, I think he might have won for Platoon.
But that's supporting.
Best supporting, but I'm not certain if he did. I'll double check.
We'll double check. Meanwhile,
no, but he's been nominated. So he didn't win. He's been nominated for 3 Oscars. Right. He was nominated for Platoon.
Yep.
For supporting role, always supporting role.
Supporting.
For Shadow of the Vampire, where he played.
Oh yeah.
The
Nosferatu.
Which is fucking just incredibly great movie. If you haven't seen that, I
it's awesome.
recommend it thoroughly. Max Schreck is the name of the guy he played in that. And yeah, now for this.
Max Schreck? Are you fucking serious?
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Really?
Yeah. Batman Returns. And for Florida Project, and it's like I really hope he does. He's early 60s, so he's still got time. But I really hope he gets an opportunity to because it's Willem Dafoe, man.
Exactly.
Fuck.
I don't know why. Why is it that we don't have? Why isn't the Oscars still filled with, because they're still fucking alive? Why isn't it up the front row with Meryl, Jack Nicholson, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro? Why aren't these gentlemen still punching out gold?
So, well, for this year, the problem with like being nominated, you mean?
Why aren't they in movies that they're like, fucking, did you see that performance? Jesus Christ.
Look,
they just
the sad thing is
Meryl,
those guys,
on the other hand, isn't this her 12th nomination? 21st. That's right, I got it around. 21st, man.
Yeah, it's insane to think about. But that just kind of proves...
get a better fucking agent.
Well, it's either getting a better agent, but also she's probably got a little bit more of a
nose,
a nose for what maybe to not do. Whereas I think some of these other guys like De Niro and Pacino are a little bit more kind of in it for the work.
Yeah,
who are a bit more kind of like, no, look, it's a job.
It's a bit fun.
I'll go do that. Oh, I've kind of heard stuff about this director. He seems okay. Oh yeah, I'm working with John Travolta. Yeah, I love John. Let's go. We'll go hang out with him for a bit. Whatever that fucking horseshit De Niro fucking killing season, De Niro and Travolta together at last. We're all like clamoring for that in 2014 or whatever.
And Jack Nicholson has literally just picked up his ball and gone home. He's like,
Jack doesn't give a fuck, man.
I don't need any money. I'm good playing golf with Sean fucking Connery.
Yeah, probably. They've got their own little fucking, He'd probably hate Sean Connery, actually.
Oh, he would totally hate Sean Connery. To be honest, I think a lot of people would hate Sean Connery.
No, 100%.
Yeah.
So, what I found really interesting was that it was the 90th anniversary. It was the 90th.
Exactly, 90.
And I think because of what the current political climate and social climate was, we kind of weren't we didn't have an opportunity to really kind of make it one of those let's wheel out the De Niro's. Let's wheel out the fucking Kirk Douglas, who's still around, who's still kicking from all those years ago. I mean, we had Christopher Plummer there, and he's like fucking 114 or some shit. And like I actually thought that's what this would be, but
the Bruce Derns, all of those gents.
Sure, the focus had to be moved though. We had to do it differently. Instead of it being that, it was Eva Marie Saint, and it was Jane Fonda, and
which I fucking
Helen Mirren,
loved, by the way.
And that was really great to see all that kind of stuff. But it left it with that almost like. Didn't feel like a 90th anniversary.
No, it didn't. Yeah,
like because usually
do you know why though? Because of the jet ski.
Because of the jet ski stuff. Yeah, exactly. And you've got to think like I was talking to my friend Bebo, who I always watch the Oscars with. Yep. And if he's listening, hey Bebs, what's up?
What's up?
And it was like we were talking about the 100th.
This has to be massive.
We're 10 years away from the 100th.
This is going to be massive.
It needs to be.
Oh Jesus, I'm going to be 56 when I watch this.
No,
46. Sorry.
Calm fucking down.
Keep going. Sorry, I lost your train of thought. Sorry. Keep going.
Yeah, so like I'm kind of in a way I'm a little bit glad that the focus was elsewhere on this because think about the build up now to the 100th. Because the problem they have sometimes is they make a big fuss about like the 85th, and it's kind of like, well, that's kind of nothing really. It just happens to be a 5. Like I can handle it every 10 years. I can handle it. Well, 75 is probably bigger because it's like a quarter of a century.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like. It's usually the 10s or like a good milestone.
Or a 5.
Yeah.
So 10s
well, not
or 5s.
Even like just a normal 5.
You're not
because
doing
85, what's 85?
was boring.
Yeah. What's 95 really?
Exactly.
Like it's nothing. It's everyone's just fucking holding their shit together till they get to 100, hoping that they don't die.
So they can make it.
So they can make it to the 100 because it's going to be a huge one.
It's going to be massive.
Yeah. So it was kind of interesting because it didn't really have that kind of gravitas of the 90th anniversary.
Yeah.
But I feel like it had, it had its intention elsewhere.
Yeah.
Not for any, but I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that's a great thing.
Yeah.
But it was just the way it kind of took the attention away from that anniversary. I thought was kind of interesting. Because you're right. We didn't have a front row full of the classics.
Right.
Like those people that have just been around forever.
And that's the thing. That's another thing. What I've noticed this year and last year, there are a lot of people in this front row or a section. And they show just who's nominated or just whoever has worked in the pit. They don't, there are so many people that they can show that if you watch it slowly, that you're like, oh my God, why aren't they showing him or her? Why aren't they getting shown? There are tons of people there. I'm pretty sure, I'm 95% sure, not that I'm a huge fan of him, that PT didn't even get a shot on his face.
I don't even know if he was there. Was he there?
Of course he was there.
Yeah.
He would have to be there. He
seems like the kind of guy that wouldn't go.
Of course he wouldn't. What a fucking loser. Seriously. What a fucking douche. He thinks he's better than the fucking Academy Awards.
No,
I don't. I'd rather the BAFTA. Fuck off. But show these people.
I'd rather the BAFTA. No one's ever said that.
Everyone says that.
No, I'd rather the BAFTA.
I'd rather the BAFTA.
No one has ever said that. Surely not.
They do. I bet you they do. He would. But yeah, show these people. Why are they showing them anyway?
Well, it's fine. Like I know that it's a very complex process. The whole
seat fillers and
all that stuff that they've got to do. But it's I would never want to be one of the people that
in the front.
That it's the front because you can't move.
Yeah.
They make it so it's like no, you always have to be in that seat.
Yeah.
And like people, it's like I'm just going to go to the bathroom and stuff.
No,
and like can you come back as soon as possible? Like it's kind of a thing.
Can you do it in the next ad break because we need you in the front?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's like saying stuff like they're about to do a cut to you that they planned because they want your reaction for a particular joke, and it's kind of like fuck, all right, sure. Bathroom as quick as possible.
You would love that, Tyson. You are at the Academy Awards, man.
Yeah,
you'll do
maybe
whatever
for the
they
first
want.
one.
I don't mind.
Maybe for the first 3.
Meryl doesn't mind. She's up the front.
Meryl's been there,
She's like,
40 times,
exactly.
probably.
She's got a little pee trough underneath her seat. She's fine.
Did you see there was one shot where it cut to Meryl and perfectly it was when Denzel was checking his watch and he's like...
Oh, really?
Oh, he does like the...
Oh,
shit, the camera was just on me.
That's so funny.
While he's like...
I'm pretty sure Denzel wasn't there until his nomination.
Oh, nice.
I'm 95% sure. Because they shot Meryl a lot and I'm like, I never went, oh, there's Denzel.
Good point.
I'm 95% sure he literally waited until the nomination and went, you know what, can I just come in the end?
Yeah, I'll just come in and take my seat.
How about that? He's like, yeah, sure.
So we didn't end up talking much about 3 Billboards, but...
3 Billboards.
3 Billboards, there it was.
It was a good movie.
It was okay.
I liked it.
I liked it a lot to enough. I think depending on what day it is and depending what kind of what I'm talking about in it.
What day it is?
Yeah.
Really?
I think I sway back and forth because I think there's some really strong stuff in it, and if I only am thinking about that, I think it's really great. Yeah. But I think there's some really shit stuff in it, and if I'm only thinking about that, it sways me that way.
Okay.
So it's a bit kind of like I'll just choose what I want to focus on at one particular point. But yeah, I think both of those awards were well deserved. I think Frances McDormand does some incredible work in that film.
I've yet to find a film where she's
always great. Like she's always great.
Ever.
But what I loved especially about this one was just this, just the levels of fragility underneath that the exterior. I found really, really wonderful. There's one reaction to the billboards catch fire at one point, which everyone is very well aware of. Everyone knows what's going on. And there's a moment where she reacts to something to it during that scene, and it honestly tore my heart out of my chest. It felt like somebody grabbed it and just squeezed it. Yeah. And it was a 2-second moment of performance that I just have never been able to fathom how anyone could find that in that moment, as an actor. It's just kind of just like, fuck, man, God, how do you go to that place? How do you find that perfect kind of representation of it? Because it felt so 100% genuine. It was
it wasn't controlled. It wasn't scripted. You didn't think it was scripted.
At no point do you feel like you're watching an actress perform. You were just, it is.
You're 100% there in the character.
Yeah. And so I don't know. It was pretty great. So I'm pretty happy to see her. And I think it was the strongest of the actresses nominated. I think.
Well, let's. Can we talk about The Post? Did you watch The Post?
I love The Post. I thought it was great.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. 100%. I think it's a wonderful movie. It's Spielberg doing what Spielberg does exceptionally well. He takes a.
I thought it was good. Look, don't get me wrong. I didn't mind it.
Sure.
But unfortunately, it was just a bar above Bridge of Spies, which Bridge of Spies was. I was like, what? Stephen, what are you doing?
I don't know. I feel like.
It was good. But I needed. I don't know. If you're going to do a thriller, which is essentially what it was a drama thriller. If you're going to do something like that, where are we going to do this? It's a lot of political heat and things like that. Are we going to do these things? And it was such a big deal. I needed more. I needed to be more in my seat.
Sure.
And I was talking to the guys at work. One of the guys, Vader. Vader, if you're listening, hey, what's up?
Vader. Sick.
Yeah. And he was saying the reason that this is nominated is because of how on the pulse this is right now.
Yeah, I think that's part of it for sure.
And for me, it can't just be that. So it can't just be an okay film, and because it's on the pulse, it gets nominated for Best Picture.
No, that's fair. I think it's the film itself definitely is of the moment, and it's very much got its finger on the pulse. Whether or not that contributes to its nomination is, I think, a pretty kind of heavy assumption to make.
Yeah.
I think it's an issue that's in a lot of people's minds at the moment, and so yes, it is representative of that. But you could say that about a couple of different things, that movies that got nominated for similar reasons.
That's true.
Not for similar causes, but because they're very much of the moment. And I think if you go back through Oscar history, you would find that that's a very common.
It's a common thing,
to happen.
Yes. But I just find that this is for the film that it being in seeing all of it, like all of the features of this film. If you're going to go for Best Picture, it has to have all of those elements.
I completely agree. It's funny though, because I felt like it did.
It had all those. Okay. Well, maybe it's just me.
No, this is the subjectivity of it all, and I've heard both points of view of it, and I tend to agree more with people that like it, because obviously I liked it as well.
Yeah.
But when like what you were just saying about how you wanted to feel on your seat, I was legitimately on the edge of my seat. Really? And I actually found it really fascinating that something, especially it's probably the 25-minute scene or whatever that leads to them needing to make the deadline.
Oh, yeah. That was...
I was amazed how literally grabbing the sides of the chairs of the cinema I was during that. And I'm like, no one else can do that. He's the master of that. Yeah, he really is. He uses every tool at his disposal to make something like, hey, we've got to get an article out by this time. become
let's go.
the most like it was like the last quarter of a sports movie scene, like for me, where I'm just like, go, come on, you're running out of time, Tom. Like I was all in it, man, and I loved it. I think the score is fucking killer. I think Tom Hanks's performance is really stunning, and a lot of people saying it's just Tom Hanks being Tom Hanks, and I think it's probably
something different from
it's one of the first times in a little while where I haven't felt that way.
Yeah,
I actually felt like it was a really
that.
lovely performance. I thought Meryl was really great, like really, really great. I thought they had a really strong supporting cast. I think it feels a little rushed. It feels a little frayed, a bit
I think
loose.
that's what it was, yeah.
And I kind of liked that energy. It felt it did feel on its toes at times.
And it was just one narrative. It didn't pair off with anywhere, which I guess is a good thing sometimes.
It kept its focus well. But it had some problems for sure. I think some of the writing was really sloppy at times. But this is, I think its problems are more symptoms of the speed at which it was made.
Yeah.
Or like...
I know what you're saying, the running time of which it was.
No, like the fact that it got turned around in about 6 months from script writing to release. It was 6 to 8 months. So it was so some of these problems, I think, stem from that, and I'm willing to kind of overlook them because it's not the first album. It's not. It wasn't 6 years to make sure every single element was perfect. And so the stuff like the last minute, which I think is awful, some of the like agenda politics, which I think were way on the nose.
Yep.
Like, not that their intentions weren't very well put together, but they were sometimes like about as subtle as, they could have just held a sign saying, see what women had to deal with in the workforce, boys. Like it was just there was no kind of nuance to it really, which was fine because they're trying to make a statement, but it didn't have the second and third draft to make it more of a
let's make it a bit more
polished
subtle
statement.
Exactly. Yeah,
but I still think a lot of it worked exceptionally well.
And it's Bradley Whitford. So.
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was really good.
Yeah, fair deal.
I'm glad it didn't win anything. I don't think it deserved to win anything, but I was pretty happy to see it in the categories it was. Yeah,
fair deal.
Yeah.
Well, it's Stephen. That's another one who sits in the crowd.
Yeah, he's got it, man.
Of course he has.
He's got to be one of the big guests at the 100. Who's going to be like the big guest? Who are they going to wheel out?
The big guest?
Yeah.
Well, it depends who's fucking alive.
Well, the problem is, it's 10 years.
10 years.
If Meryl is what? She'd be in her 70s, I guess, by then.
That's who they're wheeling out. They're wheeling out Meryl.
But this is what I mean. But Meryl, it means it can't be somebody who's been in the public eye the whole time. So if Meryl's just making movies, getting fucking nommed for everything up until the 100.
Oh, no, he's not alive anymore.
It might be, it'll probably be Jack Nicholson.
You reckon?
I think he might be the big card that they wheel out.
What? But he's been there so many times. Like,
he hasn't been around for he already hasn't been around for 4 or 5 years.
No, the last time he was
3.
Yeah, 3. Because the last time he was there was when, what's her name? No one likes her anymore. She was really hot, and now she's every woman. Red.
I don't know who.
Sparrow.
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence.
Thank you.
Oh, when she won, that's right.
When she won, he was in the background. And he just... I remember seeing that, and he wanted to just say, hi, congratulations, but everyone made a big deal out of it.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that thing.
But yeah.
Yeah, so that was Silver Lining, so that was 3 or 4 years ago, maybe, yeah.
4, yeah.
Well, because he's not in anything, and maybe he might be sitting there thinking... I'm not going to go for a little while. I can't do it, Jack. Hang on. How does he...
Jack.
Yeah, that's it.
You got to go up high. Some silverware. Do you want me to start smiling?
That's not a bad Jack, actually. That's heaps better. I don't know what I thought Jack sounded like for a second then.
I'd like some dinnerware.
What does he say? You're my number one. I can't do it. I clearly can't do it, Jack.
Start smiling.
That's not bad.
That's the
not
other
bad.
one I know.
It's also Christian Slatery as well. Yeah. Which I like. I like a lot.
Christian Slater. Maybe they'll wheel him out.
Oh, Christian Slater. He's due for a comeback.
He's due for a comeback.
Yeah.
He needs to do a TV series and do like a...
Well, he was in Mr. Robot, and he got some Emmy noms and stuff for that.
Oh, good
he needs I think he's my pick for when it's like, who should Tarantino make next, who should be his next big comeback?
Next, John Travolta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could you imagine?
That's awesome.
Be fucking sweet.
Who's gonna host 100? Do you think? I think it's someone that we don't know yet.
Oh, maybe.
I think it's someone that we don't know yet. Someone classy, someone with
maybe it won't be
a nice
host. Maybe it'll be like rolling hosts, and Whoopi will do a segment. Billy Crystal will do a segment.
Steve Martin will come. He'll come in just
Steve
for
Martin,
one.
I hope he's still around. I'm not prepared for the day that Steve Martin dies. I am physically not prepared for it. I don't know how I will cope.
How were you? Totally off topic. Do you remember where you were when Christopher Reeve died? I remember where I was, and I was eating dinner, and it came across the Channel 9 news, and Superman has died, and I stopped eating. I didn't want to eat. I was in high school.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember around the right point. I think I was kind of. I don't remember
because
hearing
everyone's
it.
like, "Where were you when Lady Di died?" I'm like, "Who?"
I remember where I was for that. Yeah.
See, why does everyone remember that
But
one?
not because I really gave a rat's ass. I was too young to really care. I was 14 or something. I was like, who the fuck cares? It's like, so what? People die in car accidents all the time. Like, why? You know, I get it. She's like, she was once royalty and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, I always kind of remember thinking, yeah, but
it's a car accident.
like, how? Why? Like, you know,
Exactly.
Why did my mum call me and say, "Oh, did you hear the news?"
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, "What?"
We weren't in high school. It was 2004. Oh, I must have. Oh, it's when I moved back home.
2004.
Yeah.
Well, that's awful.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moving on.
Death. Should we let's discuss the In Memoriam segment while we're here? I guess we're talking death.
Go on.
Wasn't a bad one.
It was
Like
Eddie Vedder, man.
Eddie, it seemed like him and the piano player were in two different time signatures, and I was trying to figure out. I was like, maybe he didn't do a rehearsal and kind of went, "Yeah, I know the song," and they all went, "Oh shit, we've got this in the wrong fucking time signature. Let's just keep playing." Because his pulse was weird, and then the guy was trying to do harmonies, and you could tell he was trying to sing it at a different meter.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like,
I was like, oh,
but I don't know the
worked.
song very well, so
Neither do I.
I was like, maybe that's just the song. Maybe it's kind of got irregular time and stuff. But it was a bit, it felt a little strange.
A bit off.
He was great though. I thought he sang the shit out of it.
Eddie Vedder, man.
Eddie Vedder, man.
You can't get any. Yeah, you literally can't get any better.
I thought he
voice.
might do. Oh where is my baby?
No one's doing that.
The Lord took her away from me. Could you imagine that in the In Memoriam?
No, I'm not doing that.
Even flow. Don't call me dog.
Okay,
here we go. I'm just going to do it. It's so funny to think of what he could come out. Ladies and gentlemen,
Eddie Vedder.
Eddie Vedder.
Don't call me daughter.
Oh, I'm still alive. Hey. Oh no, I got this wrong.
Oh, we got it wrong. They're not alive. Oh shit.
Oh,
that's
dear.
hilarious. Oh, where are we going to go from here now?
No, it was really sad.
Yeah, you can't do that. You can't bring it back down that quickly.
No, it's true.
You can't bring it back down that quickly.
One thing we need to take.
I'm always a year behind. I'm always like, where was Carrie Fisher? I'm always a year behind. I'm like, no, Nick, look it up. She does.
They did. It's forever been known, and this is I can't take credit for this. This is from another podcast, but whenever anyone gets Farina'd, which is so when Dennis Farina, who of like Get Shorty and like the gangsters of Gangster, like he's one of the great character actors, was left off the In Memoriam segment.
Yep.
So from now on, it's whenever anyone gets left off, they got Farina'd.
They got Farina'd.
Yeah. And so this year it was Michael Parks of Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he wasn't there.
Jesus.
Which I was a bit kind of like, wow, he's kind of put in the long yards.
He has. He's got a lot of
exploitation and kind of B-grade action stuff.
But still,
like he's been around forever, and he's put in some incredible performances.
Farina'd. That's
fully Farina'd.
Fully Farina'd.
Yeah, so that's all. If you happen to know anyone else that was Farina'd, please let us know.
Please let us know.
Because I think there's always a couple, and they always have to issue an apology and say, look, we only had so much time, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we can't put in everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is fair enough, shit. But
well, the only other, I guess there was a couple of kind of awards out of nowhere, like single awards for a few films.
What
do we got? We had Phantom Thread winning costume, which I guess was appropriate because the film is based around costume making.
Which is given,
yeah. So there was some really lovely designs through it, and even the day-to-day wear was actually kind of really was really lovely to look at as well.
Yeah.
What else was there?
The amazing one, AJ won. Alison fucking Janney.
Alison Janney.
I, Tanya.
Yeah, which is great. Like, I know that I think most people you talk to are kind of wondering why Laurie Metcalf ended up kind of being. She kind of got Willem Dafoe'd this year as well.
Yeah,
it's the same kind of thing where she started off really strong and then the Janney kind of snowball effect just kept happening.
But she's been putting up stellar performances for years.
Yeah, and look, I would say the same thing about Laurie Metcalf, to be honest. I think they're both pretty solid, and it was one of those things where it just unfortunately the flashier performance ended up kind of being the one that took the focus.
Fair deal.
Whether or not you can say that that's a better or worse performance, I think is kind of unfair. They're very different kinds of performances. And I really liked what Laurie Metcalf did in Lady Bird. I thought it was lovely, but I think it's I don't like when people kind of say, "Oh, it's horseshit. It was nowhere near as good a performance." I'm like, it's just a very
it's subjective, man.
It's a very different performance. It's very it's harder to do different things for different people. I'm not saying maybe Alison Janney wouldn't be able to do what Laurie Metcalf did, but maybe Laurie Metcalf wouldn't be able to do what Alison Janney did in that. Although she was pretty great as Billy Loomis's mum in Scream 2, wasn't she? She was fucking bonkers. She's got such crazy eyes.
Fucking hell, I can't believe you remember that. That's the least one I've seen, I think, too. And that was, do you remember Scream 2 was the very first movie that was ever ruined for me?
Oh, no.
Ever.
Oh.
Someone told me the killer of fucking Scream 2, dude.
That person?
I beat the shit out of him. It was in high school. I beat him up.
Yeah, nice.
I'm not kidding.
Fucking
not a lot of blood, but I gave him a lot of dead arms.
Hey, yeah, dead arms. I love a good dead arm.
Dead arm, yeah.
That's what that deserves.
You fucking
Legit
asshole.
dead arm.
Fuck you.
Or dead leg. I love a good dead leg.
Oh, dead leg. With the knee?
Yeah.
Shit.
My brother was the master of the dead leg into the knee. Like, oh man.
Oh,
he got it right in there. He knew just right angle. I'd be limping for fucking hours.
The other one we didn't talk about was the best adapted was Call Me by Your Name.
Yeah, look, and this was a kind of a bit of a career retrospective thing for James Ivory. Which I like, and I actually didn't realize until maybe pretty late into the process, maybe a month or so ago, that it was actually that James Ivory, and it kind of blew my mind that this old dude, who had written all these like dry as fucked period piece movies that like teenage me used to be like, couldn't think of anything worse than watching The Remains of the Day. Yeah,
just the cover just makes you want to fucking yawn.
Like, who can be bothered? And is it Room with a View? Like, so all these Merchant Ivory films, I remember just being like,
chalking up my fucking drama section at work, man.
Exactly. And so I found it really fascinating. Like, that's obviously a very teenage reaction to it. I'm sure that
I actually want to see Remains of the Day.
I'm sure they're pretty stunning movies, really. And like very grown up, challenging intellectual dramas that I wish they made more of at the moment.
They don't.
Because they don't make any of them. But I found it really interesting that that's the guy that ends up writing this, this really kind of what is apparently quite youthful and fresh and full of kind of, like quite an accurate representation of young love.
And that's the first thing that came to my mind, especially because James has a walking stick and he's walking very slowly towards the microphone. I'm like, are you telling me that this man wrote this movie? Like, that is insane.
Well, he adapted the book,
but still, like he's still got that flavour in there of being that young and being.
Well, and apparently, my friend Bebo, when we were talking, he said that apparently he wanted to put a lot more of the sexy times in.
Oh, really?
And the studio were kind of like, Ivory, keep a lid on it, buddy. I think. Pervy old man. Like,
it could have done a little bit more. Like it wasn't broke back in the tent with no lube, but it was. Hey man, I want to watch Brokeback again. That was a good fucking movie.
Good fucking movie, man.
Jesus,
Heath Ledger.
That was intense.
All right,
but yeah, it was good. Call Me by Your Name, because my friend Tyson hasn't seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet.
To see it. We didn't get to see everything, but yeah, Call Me by Your Name was awesome. I'm a massive. It's just solidified Armie Hammer for me. Like, the man is insane.
It's funny. I've heard he's not very good in it.
Really?
Yeah.
Who are these fools? Who are these fools? Are you kidding me?
There's a bit of energy around. But see, I mean, maybe it's because I think Armie Hammer's a very strange screen presence. I don't think he's particularly like naturally charismatic.
Oh, really?
I don't think he's quite found his niche yet.
Niche, yeah?
I liked him in. I think the best thing I've liked him in is Man from Uncle, where he had to play kind of a cold, stilted kind of character.
Dude, he was warm and lovely. Are you kidding me? I loved him.
No, he was I'm kidding. He got to be the very Russian.
He was the Russian. Yeah, he was the. Yeah.
And I think he will. I think once he kind of finds that proper, like that balance of that with, and uses what he does have, which is obviously is very good looking and
Everyone, speaking of Armie Hammer, for some fucking reason, I don't know, maybe everyone got the memo, but every guy that went up to present was in crushed fucking velvet.
Crushed velvet,
what
that was the look, wasn't it?
What's going on there? Everyone had it on.
Apparently
Everyone
it's
had
back.
it on.
Hey, did you
It's
see that
not back.
weird guy from in the production design who had a crushed velvet jacket that was like 3/4 length sleeves?
That was wearing fucking
And
Adidas?
was wearing these Adidas
Get the fuck
runners
off my stage.
and his sunnies.
Oh,
I was like,
this is not the MTV Music Awards, you fucking douche.
What's his story?
Oh.
It was one of those things where all it did was make me go, wonder what's up with that dude.
You
What's
have
his
the
story?
Oscar, and you're going to be at the after party, and you're not going to get laid. No one is going to come up to you.
Dude, I think he's probably the kind of guy that like just went home.
Oh, fuck off.
Or he probably thought, I'm just going to go get some burgers and sit with my Oscar.
No, he's not.
Or he's going to get a coffee
Tyson,
and
you
read
know he's
the
not because
fucking...
he wore sunnies on the stage.
I don't know, man.
And you know what type of person that... I don't care.
Maybe
I'm
he's
sorry.
coked out of his brain. He just doesn't give a fuck.
You know what? I'm for that.
Yeah.
If he's coked out of his brain,
He's
good.
having the best night of his life.
He's having-
Maybe
yeah.
it was a bet. Maybe because, let's be
The guy
honest,
was a
right?
douche.
Maybe imagine, right? Imagine if by chance, in some magic planet,
Yep.
one of us ends up being nominated for an Oscar,
And good Lord, fuck.
right?
All right.
I would dare you to wear something stupid,
Are you
and I would
serious?
expect you to do it.
I'm not...
Because when are you ever going to be back there?
But that's the point. When the fuck am I ever going to be back there? So I want to actually, and this comes into what I was going to segue into.
yeah.
At the start of this thing, and this is one of my main gripes with the Academy Awards, is the fact that they go, look, we know we're going to give you an award, but we'd like to get home soon.
Yeah.
So you've got a time limit. And the fact that this jet ski thing at the start, I was like, oh, come on, really? Because these people put in this work and they're getting an award, and give them the chance. I always throw it back to who won for The Pianist, best Oscar? Best actor?
Adrian Brody.
Adrian Brody. My favourite Oscar speech from him came up. It was the only time, and they played the music here. Just won best actor.
Yeah.
And he said, no, you can stop the music because this is probably the only time that I am going to be up here.
Yeah.
And they stopped.
Sure.
Good on them. I understand for things like,
totally right.
for, I don't know.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
If by chance, in some magical planet, either of us ended up with an Oscar nomination,
You know what?
it would be for
Go on.
live action short. And because we...
No, I'm going to reach for the stars, and it's going to be best director.
That's nice of you to reach for the stars.
I'm going to reach for the stars.
No one remembers who wins live action short.
No, that's true. All right,
I
fine.
remember that dude with the sunnies and the 3/4 length crushed velvet jacket. I will forever remember him.
Of course, the
So
fucking
I
douche
think,
in 2018.
I think he's playing it. I think he's
Good
playing it right.
Lord,
I think he's
really?
gone out there and said, you know what? This is how I'm going to be remembered. And I'm going to be able to show my kids one day and go, hey, check out what I did. Check what I did.
And your son's going,
I wore
Dad, you wore
Adidas
sunnies?
sneakers to the Oscars.
Not even new ones. They were fucking old as. Oh, that's disgusting. That is disgusting.
Oh, man, what a funny guy.
Oh, hilarious.
Hilarious. I think, well, were there any other awards that were kind of interesting to you? Any other moments from the ceremony that took your attention? I found Jodie Foster and Jennifer Lawrence to be quite hilarious.
That was actually quite funny.
And the same for...
Did Jodie Foster really need those crutches?
I believe so.
Oh,
I don't
right.
think she would use them without.
Oh, I thought it was just a gag.
Yeah,
was waiting
they
for
were
her to
playing the
drop
whole
them.
thing for the
Yeah,
gag.
yeah.
For the Meryl tripped us over.
Yeah, which was... that was hilarious.
Yeah.
That was really
and I
funny.
thought Tiffany Haddish and Maya Rudolph were also really funny. And
That's true.
it's so funny because they were like the naughty kids at the Oscars. Like
Yeah.
they brought this little bit of energy to it where it's like,
They're like, oh my God, we're
going to get away with some shit right now.
When whoever came up to get the award, they went, look, you won!
Yes.
I was like, that's hilarious.
It's just she's got a really funny, interesting energy. The Tiffany Haddish,
She does.
and
That was gold.
and I think the way that they can stand up there and take the piss out of people that like that suck up everybody else by saying
Yeah.
the thing about I love when you took a piss off that zip line. I'm like, I love when you took a dookie in the street and stuff like that. I think they just had a really kind of that's how you can tease the grandiose nature of the Oscars. That's how you can tease it and tease it well, I reckon.
That's so true.
Because then the show carries on and you've had your little laugh, but then you get back to it. Whereas I think if you have a host, back to what we were talking about very early, if you have a host that maybe doesn't respect the overall gravitas,
Yeah.
it can be a little kind of like, oh, that's maybe not the nicest thing.
Yeah,
Like,
fair deal.
Some of us do take it a little bit seriously. Yeah, was there anything else we're wanting to mention?
Nothing that I know, but nothing that I remembered, but I did just scroll down to the bottom of who won, and honorary awards, they don't really give these anymore, but...
No, well, they didn't. It was funny about the ceremonies, because there was no lifetime achievement, there was no, like, speech from the Academy President.
Yeah,
there
which
was,
I'm fucking glad...
yeah, look, I mean, I obviously do check out, but I feel like it's kind of... Let them have their 2 minutes. Like, that's all they get. That's all they ask from us.
Put it at the start in writing, okay? Put it at the start in writing, okay?
I don't know. I feel like they work pretty hard. They're deserving of their couple of minutes of a speech.
We do. Oh, God, I can't believe we haven't mentioned this yet.
What's that?
We do have to mention the fact that every envelope came out with massive fucking writing.
Yes.
And I was actually really glad. I was like, look... I'm glad that they're doing this. It was a massive fuck up, and I do feel for everyone that made Moonlight really got robbed, because had that have been me, I would have been fucking pissed. But they did their job well, and yeah.
It was, look, they made a very particular point.
Bringing back Warren Beatty and
I thought that was lovely
Faye Dunaway. Great.
I thought that was really nice.
Good. Let's do this again. Everyone makes mistakes. Let's give it a shot.
Well, no one's seeing that Price Waterhouse Cooper dude ever again, though. He got carted off to that fucking pit in 300 and kicked in. That's where he went. Nobody wants to know who that guy was.
Fair deal.
Have you seen the photo of him, like, texting on his phone? It's so great.
No.
He's literally just in his tuxedo staring at his phone, and it's like apparently seconds before they were getting the envelope, and that's why he's just like playing on his phone and shit.
Are you serious?
I'm like, yeah, you deserve to be fired, buddy. I'm afraid you definitely.
If you're not taking
your
job seriously, then fuck me.
But I love that all it took to solve that problem again was just put it on a fucking table.
Seriously, just
put the right envelope on a table.
How is this not
next to the entrance?
How is this not what we're doing in the first place?
Yeah,
people?
exactly.
Come on.
Exactly.
Fuck.
I guess the other. Just very briefly, the other thing we're talking about, we have talked about Get Out a little bit, and that's awesome. Jordan Peele won the best original screenplay for that. That's amazing, and congratulations to him. I look forward to seeing his next movie very much.
Absolutely.
I love to see where he goes from here. But also, we just need to shout out for Roger Deakins, who, after 14 nominations, finally won his cinematography.
Oh, cinematography, yeah.
Who is shot just some of the most gorgeous films of all time, consistently does wonderful work, and has finally... Yeah, is it 14 nominations?
Yeah, it was. And when he came up, you could tell that he was an artist. He had that...
Oh, man, he was
scruffing his hair. He had the tick of an artist who spends, one of the guys who either spends too much time in front of the canvas and every single piece of clothing has a bit of paint on it, too much time in the dark room to the point where their skin just goes fucking pale. This was an artist who loves his craft and finally deserved to win.
Well, I think having said that, he's probably deserved to win a few other times as well. And it's just he's always had to he's fallen kind of into the it's not just yet, buddy kind of pile. Where it's either been that it's been a film that has swept, and so he's kind of been lost in the scuffle of that. Or when it's a film that has won, that he, like, for instance, he did the cinematography for No Country for Old Men. Ooh. There was a narrative around the other film. And so that ended up getting a few of the technical awards in those years. So yeah, he's kind of... He's had a rough run, so it's really good to see him finally win. I haven't seen Blade Runner 2049 yet, but from all reviews, it's pretty fucking stunning, and it's lit incredibly well and shot incredibly well.
Unfortunately, my knowledge of Blade Runner, the original, is not good, so I'm not prepared to take that leap and see the new one because I need to see the original.
And look, and just as far as the original goes, like, I was very resistant to it for a while, obviously because we talked about this because it was studied in high school, and I always felt like I always had a really tough time viewing it away from that, and so I never bothered. I tried to watch it once a couple of years ago and was like, no, I've got to turn it off. Finally, just dragging my ass to the Astor Theatre to see the new restoration was one of the best decisions I made in a very long time. I loved it. I really, really loved it. So,
maybe the Astor will do it back to back.
Yeah, well, that's a
good idea.
That's a big intense fucking night in theatre. That is.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm up for
huge.
that. I always love a big night in theatre.
5 hours almost, I reckon.
Jesus, really?
Well, this is a bit over 2 hours. I think it's 2.5 hours. This 2049.
Shit.
2 hours 44. So add that with the
2 hours 44. What for the new one?
Yeah. Whoa. So add that with the over 2 hours of the original. That's a 5 hour stint with a break.
Bring it on. I am up for anything.
Yeah. Watch out.
Yeah. All right then.
Very good. Well, what did you at home think of the Oscars?
What did you?
Good, very good. Thank you.
Well done. Well done.
That was lovely. Did you all speak at once into your car stereos?
I didn't know.
No, we would love to hear what you thought. If there was an award that you really dug, or if there was a presenter that you thought was really funny, or maybe you were a little bit shitty about some of the awards because maybe that didn't go your way. I'll say this: it was like odds-on favourites nearly the whole night. And I've explained to you before. I do enjoy kind of spreadsheeting all the odds over in the lead up to the Oscars,
deep into the well.
Because I do like a lot of and I like putting a little bit of like bets in here and there because I like to play the kind of the odds game with it all. And it was a really interesting night because what was initially thought to be this kind of no one really knew what was happening, and it was a real kind of mixed bag, and people were like, it could go anyway.
Yeah.
It went exactly the way that everyone thought it would, which I thought was really interesting. Like it was literally just odds-on favourites all the way.
Yeah.
Despite all these conversations of like, oh, but this stat doesn't hold up over here, and you can't, no, this one won't win this because it didn't get nominated for this, and oh, but the SAG ensemble thing and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They all just fell to shit, and whatever was the odds-on favourite just ended up winning. So it was really interesting in the end.
It was gone.
So tell us all about it, listeners at home. We'd love to hear what you thought.
Well, especially because not next week, but the week after, we're going to be doing our mailbag episode.
We are.
Finally. And so if you do want to talk to us, write to us.
Why don't we talk a little bit more about that at the end of the show?
Absolutely.
When we give out all our horseshit information. I don't know why I said it like that.
Yeah, fair deal. All right. Well, should we?
Do you want to cross some streams?
Let's cross some streams.
Let's cross some streams.
Yeah, let's do it.
That wasn't a bad one.
That was
good,
not bad.
Because we could actually do it this week.
Yeah.
We half-assed it last week because we were like, oh,
little man's asleep. But don't worry, little man's got white noise blaring at him, so he's fine.
Oh, I love it. Love it.
I think, Tyson, we need to pick Oscar-nominated movies.
That's
fair. Do
you
think that's a thing?
Yeah, that's
fair. Because we do horror movies at Halloween.
It's a good point.
And we don't do Valentine's Day movies. But
why would we do that?
Who's doing that? So I think we should do Oscar nominations.
Sure thing. Well, do you want like former Oscar nominations, or do you want like this year's nominations? If you can see any of this year's nominations.
No. I want if it has been nominated, if it has been won ever. I want anything. I want a movie that has been nominated or won. Best anything. Best anything.
Or best picture. Do we want to try and do some best pictures?
I want to do a best picture.
That might be hard to find.
Fuck me. Well, I can't do that in time.
I know, it's like quick. What can we find? What can we find on our things? What are you looking at? Which one are you on? Netflix? I'm on Stan.
All
right, I'll go to Netflix.
All right, hang on. Wait. You can't leave this in.
No, like this is fun. I think this is great. Just having said that, there were some Oscar-nominated films and winners that are available right now.
Right now.
You can watch them as we speak because they are Netflix original.
Well, wait till the episode's over. You know, we like to do our horse shit at the end. But
it's true. But yeah, you can watch Mudbound, which was nominated for cinematography and best song. I think that's it.
Wow.
First ever female cinematography, director of photography, ever female nominated for an Academy Award.
Huge.
Which is huge. And so you can watch that film on Netflix. You can also watch the documentary feature that won Icarus on Netflix. So you can watch either of those.
Which is just about cycling doping. Cycling doping? Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. So you can, like, that's there.
Man.
Watch them. Why not?
Can I do this one? I want to do this one.
You can do whatever you like.
All right. Well, on Stan.
Very good.
A Few Good Men.
Oh.
Was that nominated? That was.
I believe it was nominated for... Shall I guess? I'm going to say
Best Actor, Best Supporting.
I'm going to say Best Adapted Screenplay.
Mm-hmm.
It was definitely nominated for Best Picture.
Right. It was one of the acting.
Director.
What year was this? 92.
And Tom Cruise Best Actor.
Jesus.
I think they were the four.
All right, hang on.
It might have also gotten like score or art direction or something like that. But I think
art direction. No.
Adapted screenplay, picture, director, Tom Cruise.
All right. Adapted screenplay. Jesus fucking Christ.
Adapted screenplay.
Look, I've had a lot to drink. What did you say? Go for it.
Picture. Yes?
Yes.
Director.
No.
Oh, who directed it? Is it Ron Howard?
No, it's my favourite. Who directed it? It's fuck you. It's Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner. Oh, I love Rob Reiner.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise, Best Actor?
Wrong.
Adapted screenplay. Because it's a Sorkin based on
It is Sorkin
one of his
based,
plays.
but wrong.
Original screenplay.
No, wrong. It is Best Picture,
Yeah.
Best Supporting Role,
For Jack.
Jack Nicholson,
Oh, I didn't think he got nominated for
Best
it.
Sound,
Yeah, okay, sure.
and Best Editing.
Is that it?
That is it.
And it got into Best Picture.
Yeah. Did it win? It won nothing.
No, 1-0.
Yeah. That is fucking disgusting.
I was certain that it would have been nominated for more because I knew it was
At
nominated
least
for
for
Best
Best
Picture.
Director. Jesus
Well,
Christ.
yeah.
That movie is awesome.
How's it not up for screenplay?
I don't get it.
Oh.
Well, people didn't know of Sorkin. He hadn't. Oh, 1992.
Oh, he was okay.
knee deep in West Wing. No,
No, it hadn't
not
started
really.
yet. A couple of these earlier shows.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, I am telling you that. Well, I'm not telling you. I'm guiding you towards A Few Good Men. Yes, it was made in 1992, but I'm telling you right now, if you like court dramas, which I know a lot of you, if you're watching LA Law,
That's Law and Order, not definitely not LA Law starring Corbin Burnson.
LA Law, Nick, you fucking moron.
What a great show, though.
Yes. Anyway, courtside dramas. It is one of the best.
Courtside dramas, as in like at the basketball.
No, courtside. Court dramas. Jeez, I'm getting all over this
I
show.
want to go to the basketball and have a courtside drama.
Look, don't let it sway you that Tom Cruise is in this thing. This is one of the best performances from Tom Cruise. Not only that, you're getting Jack Nicholson, and one of my favourite interviews with Jack about this movie is he was giving his performance, which everyone knows.
One of the most imitated lines
you can't
of
handle
all
the
time.
truth.
Yeah.
Blah 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 blah. Anyway, so he was doing that, and then it was time. If you know what happens with filming, they were doing that scene, but they needed to film all Tom's reactions and shots.
Sure.
So all of the cameras was on Tom, yet Jack kept his performance at 100, so that it would meet. So that it would give Tom something to play with. And Rob Reiner came out to him and said, "Well, Jack, you don't need to play at this level. You can just dumb it down if you want. We can't hear you. Like we're not going to be able to hear you." And Jack said, "It is very rare that I get a script this meaty to play with, and so I'm going to do it the best of my ability. If you don't mind." That stayed with me. It's just a great drama, which is very, very rare nowadays. You don't get these sorts of dramas.
Well, it's very much what we were talking about before.
Yeah.
That whole that time when
exactly in the 90s you get all these Remains of the Day and all of that stuff.
Movies for grown-ups,
Exactly.
like mid-budget kind of like 20 mil ish.
Yeah,
for grown-ups, movies that just you can go to
exactly
on a Friday
that
night
have no superheroes in it
without
whatsoever.
you won't be in a cinema full of fucking kids throwing shit around.
Imagine the cinema in this. No one's going to this and throwing popcorn around or playing with their fucking phone. And if you are, get the fuck out.
Well, and if you had a mobile phone in 1992,
it was huge.
What time machine did you come here in?
It was a brick. No, they would have had it, but they would have had like the aerial all the way up. They would just
and what they're texting on that, and it's like one letter at a time.
Beep, beep, boop, boop, beep. Yeah, it would have been like that. It's on Stan. Watch it. A Few Good Men. It's one of my favorites.
It is.
I love it.
P.S. Just checking the Golden Globes. It did nominated for picture, director, actor, and screenplay. So the Golden Globes was on the pulse,
really?
And then Oscars went, nah,
we're good.
Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, good.
Well, all right. Well, I'm out of time, so I'm just gonna whichever is the next one that I hit in the scroll across.
Oh, come on.
And hope that I haven't already suggested
Plugged
it
it
once before.
I can tell you if you did because I've actually got the list here.
Oh, really? You've got the list of everything we've.
I actually have.
For have we done?
I was bored on the train.
Have I done Good Will Hunting before?
2 seconds.
We need it alphabetically. Is what we need.
Yep, motherfucker. Crossing the streams. Here we go.
We're crossing the streams and we're checking if we've done this one before.
Go on, baby, go on. What is it? Good Will Hunting.
Yeah, that
Just
one.
look for the G's. No, you haven't.
Great.
Go for it.
1997, Good Will Hunting.
What a movie.
This is a game I'm enjoying playing. It was nominated for Best Picture.
Sure.
It was nominated and won for Best Original Screenplay.
Yes, that's true. Both of them got up.
It was nominated and won for Best Supporting Actor.
The late
for
great
Robin
Rob Williams.
Yeah. It was nominated for Best Actor for Matt Damon.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, fuck off.
It was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for Minnie Driver.
Which is the first time I actually liked Minnie Driver. I actually don't like her, but that movie changed me around. I love Minnie Driver.
I don't know if it was nominated for direction, though. I don't know if Gus got in for that one. How am I going so far?
Wait. Keep talking.
It was nominated.
It was nominated for 9 awards.
9?
Fuck me.
All right, so here we go. I reckon picture.
Sure.
I'm certain about picture, actor, supporting actress, supporting actor, original screenplay.
Yep, that's 5.
That's
You got
5.
4 more.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's-
Cinematography?
Are you saying yes, or are you...
Well, I don't know. I'm running out of fucking things to
Think about it,
be
Tyson.
worth
Come on,
nominating
come
for.
So what did you say? Name the 5?
Score.
No. Let's start at the start.
Okay,
Here we go.
This is a game no one else thinks is fun except for me and you.
Yeah.
By the way, picture.
Yes.
I'm gonna have to say it.
Wait.
Direct.
Yes, best
If
picture.
it was nominated for 9, director,
Yes.
lead actor,
Yes.
supporting actress,
Yes.
supporting actor.
Yes.
Just 1 in supporting actor? Or was Stellan Skarsgård also nominated for supporting actor?
I love you, Stellan Skarsgård. You're messed up. No.
No, okay.
No.
Original screenplay, 6.
Yep. You got 3 more. You were on the pulse before.
Cinematography.
No.
Score, original score.
Original score.
Editing.
Yes. 1 more. Oh, he's almost got it, ladies and gentlemen.
Fuck, what's
Ty's
left?
coming in on the side. He's running in. You're not going to get it. It's bizarre. I'm surprised.
Was it not one of the sound awards? Sound editing?
I'm not going to say anything. No. Is that your final answer?
Oh, is it sound mixing?
No.
I don't know. I'm running out of options.
It's best original song.
I was going to say that. And I was like,
Miss Misery. I don't know who's
Miss Misery.
Miss Misery.
Isn't that a song by Paramore from
it? What?
2008?
Well, clearly not. It was written in 98. So, yes, it did win Best Actor in a Supporting Role for Robin Williams.
Yeah,
It did win
screenplay.
Best Screenplay.
Was that it?
With thing, and that was it. That was the 2 that it won. But, yeah, Best Picture, Best Actor in a Leading Role, Matt Damon. Nominee, Minnie Driver. Director, Gus Van Sant. Editing, Best Original Song. And Best Dramatic Score. Original Dramatic Score.
Very
Dramatic
good.
Score.
Oh, is that when they split it into dramatic and comedy score? Yeah. Those ill-fated few
bizarre,
years.
Yeah. Why should people watch this movie, Tyson?
Good Will Hunting is one of those early movies for me that kind of formulated my taste, I think.
Really?
I think it was one of those first, because obviously I was probably 14, 15 when I first saw it. And it was at a time where I think I was more drawn towards big blockbuster kind of films, and if I went to the cinema, it would be to go see the big kind of Armageddon and stuff like that. And so this was one of those movies that I think just me and a couple of mates, we used to go every week. We'd go on like either Friday or Saturday night, because it was the 4 of us, and we, if there wasn't a party on or something, we'd just go to the movies. Nice. And we'd do that, and then we'd go walk back to our mate's place, and we'd just hang out for the rest of the night.
Yeah.
And we saw this on one of those nights in 1997. So, I would have been either in year 9 or year 10.
Yeah.
And it really kind of changed the way that I look at movies, because it's obviously a very quiet, indie, independent film about characters, about relationships. Mm-hmm. And while I had seen a few kind of films like that in the time, it was generally, I would describe them as kind of not boring, but they wouldn't have things that I'd latch onto. Like, I couldn't say, oh, it's really funny, or it's got these really cool action scenes in it and stuff like that. It's literally just a movie of people talking to each other.
Yeah.
And I fucking loved it. And I think I realized that I've been missing out on
There's
whole type of movies,
is...
a whole way that movies can tell stories, that it doesn't have to be about. They always, how a lot of people say in movies, it's about show, don't tell. Sometimes it is about the telling, the having the conversation, having these beautiful conversations with each other. And I fucking loved it, and I still love it. I think it's really a wonderful movie. I think it's a bit kind of 90s now. It's got his 90s-ness about it.
And there's one cliche scene, but totally. It still brings me to tears. It's fucking awesome. I love
it's beautiful. It's full of great performances. Robin Williams. It was like a revelation to see him in a role like this, because he was always the Robin Williams to me. And although I knew of like Dead Poets Society and things like that, you'd seen these, but he still had this kind of streak of comedy in those roles. Because you got to see Robin Williams be Robin Williams.
This was
like
serious.
Good Morning Vietnam. It's all big voices, and it's got dramatic elements to it. And you could technically say it's a dramatic performance. Not like this though. He was just this broken shell of a man who was really just you can just feel the heartbreak.
And when he turned to Matt's character and just told him to shut the fuck up, you were like, whoa.
Yeah.
It's a side of Robin Williams you didn't see. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It was deep and awesome.
And that's just on Netflix, and that is well worth watching.
Watch those two,
it's a beautiful
man. That's
film.
a beautiful night.
Yeah.
Watch them both.
What a great double feature. Just
jump on Netflix, jump on Stan.
That's it.
Tell us what you thought. If we're wrong,
you get a bit of, you can't handle the truth. And a bit of, it's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault.
It's not your fault. Fuck you. It's not your fault.
And I'm sure Jimmy Kimmel would be very excited that we suggested a Matt Damon film.
That's so true.
Next week,
we're going to rewind the clock and go back 1 week, which we were trying to do. And
we did skip a week.
We're going to do a film called.
We're going to do Role Models. We were going to do Role Models a couple of weeks ago.
We were.
Then we decided that we needed to do some research for our Oscar show to make sure. So we took the week off and kept ourselves and just concentrated on Oscar stuff.
Movies.
Yeah. So now we're gonna, seeing as we watched it, and I took a bucket load of notes.
Yeah, we're going to do that.
We're going to do Role Models.
Hell yeah!
So tune in. It's a great fun movie. Hopefully it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about.
It's awesome. We didn't get a name right, but last week, but this week we will. Jane Lynch. Watch it. She's awesome.
Don't BS a BSer. My job here is to service these young boys.
If you want to do that, bullshit each other. See how that feels.
Jane Lynch is pretty fucking amazing in this movie. Then the week after, we're going to do something really exciting because we've had a bit of a backlog of mail.
Yeah.
And we don't always get the opportunity to look at it because we want to give it the right amount of time. We don't want to brush past it because people have been asking some really great questions, really cool stuff. So we're actually going to do a mailbag episode.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, so it'll be roughly the normal length of episode. We'll still do our trailers and we'll still do our, what we watch, but our feature presentation is going to be mailbag.
So answer some questions.
That's it. We're going to have about an hour of just open questions. Okay. So if you want to ask us anything, and we'd love you to, we'd love to hear from you guys. Just jump on. Chance. That's it. This is your chance. So you can email us at nicktysonvideotape@gmail.com.
Absolutely.
You can find us on Facebook if you just want to send us a message through there. You can
That's true.
do that.
You can personally write to us on Twitter if you find us on Twitter.
That's it. You can find us on Twitter.
Or you can even the Instagram is now up and running. We have photos, we have posters, we have everything like that. So if you want to message us through there, you can do that as well.
So there's heaps of ways, and it'd be really cool to hear from you guys.
Hell
and
yeah.
Just any question you like, we'll be more than happy to answer. We've got some really cool ones coming up. Lots of really kind of meaty topics that we're going to, which might end up as only being able to answer 2 or 3 emails, but hopefully we can get through them.
We're going to get through them
as best we can.
Best try.
But that's in 2 weeks. So you've got a bit of time. If you want to ask us anything, we'd love to hear from you.
Exactly.
And in saying that, jump on to our iTunes podcast page. And if you're feeling generous, click those 5 stars or write some kind of little review down the bottom. That would be amazing. And don't forget to push the subscribe button in your podcast app of choice, I guess.
Absolutely. Please do.
Yes.
It makes a smile on our faces for the rest of the day.
Doesn't it just?
Yeah.
Well, that's Oscars for another year, Nicholas.
That's Oscars.
Cheers. We should have had champagne. That's what we should have done.
Well, next year we'll definitely have champagne.
Yeah, and we probably should have worn tuxedos instead of these swimsuits
that
we were in.
All right, fine. I'll wear a crushed velvet jacket with fucking Adidas.
Tell you what, though, I think I'm going to buy a crushed velvet jacket. They look pretty fucking sexy.
They don't.
They don't think so?
No.
Oh, I think
Arnie Hammer looked like a tit in Burgundy. He looked like a moron.
Tit.
He looked like an absolute tit.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
Well, that's going to wrap us up.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we'll see you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, Nick.
Bye, Tyson.
Bye.